So we have Malice. I'll just show off my hardcover. Bit of a flex. They're quite rare. The floor is yours.
Malice. Okay, so it was a fantasy novel, basically. And we start off and we have Evnus. And he basically shakes things up. He's like, makes a pact with the giants.
Yeah.
And basically turns the world upside down in like turmoil. A whole bunch of shit happens. There's a prophecy.
And he pact with Azeroth.
Azeroth.
But the giants like kind of control the cauldron.
Yeah, that's right. And that's one of the magical items as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, they turn the world upside down, and then this prophecy comes up, and we have a guy who is fulfilling part of that prophecy.
Nathir,
yeah. And then we also have Corbin, who's another character who's going along his own separate journey. And at some point in the story, Nathir and Corbin meet up in their town, and a bunch of other shit happens. And it's like there's war between the humans and the giants. And the skies are glowing black, and there's all these different things, and the prophecies,
signs with the worms.
So bad things are happening, and it's a bit of a setup book. So something else is going to happen. Like we have the main event where bad things are happening, wars are starting to happen, and things are starting to look grim. We have the outside warring sort of scavenger type clan of people, and they go to the main guys and they say, "Hey, we want a truce, but we want a truce with just you." Din Thalen, yeah. And so there's lots of moving parts, but it's mostly about a prophecy, and the story's all moving towards like a big war or some event happening.
Yeah,
because it's a setup book.
Nathir, the prince, or at least for the first half, he's the prince.
Yeah.
Of like, it's almost like they're not. He's not an emperor, but like he's like the king of all the other kings
of the lands, kind of thing.
They all meet up, and Nathir is convinced he's the bright star.
Yeah.
And they've got to like defeat the Black Sun wherever he might come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's what's the mythical land of people? There's like a mythical desert people, and they've got
the Jihar?
Jihar, the Jihar.
Yeah.
And they sworn to help Bright Star, and they're like a magical city who's like trained warriors to defend the world for like 1,000 years or something.
Yeah.
So,
what did you think, Chris?
I didn't like it very much. There's good things in it. There's good concepts in it. Those things I do rate are good. But for me, it was very hard to get into. I know you got me the book for my birthday, and I did try and read it, and it was a bit hard. So then I got the audiobook, and then that was a bit hard as well. It took me a very long time to finish the book, very, very long time, because I kept pausing it and getting to other things. Oh man, honestly, I want to give it like a fucking 4 or something. I know a lot of people like it as well. I know. But like I said, the concepts and stuff in it are good. There's lots of good stuff in it.
Right.
But it didn't all gel for me. I felt like there was... I don't want to say that there's too many moving parts and I couldn't keep up or anything like that. I felt like there was too many moving parts and things weren't working cohesively. Like, every time we checked in with Corbin, he was doing the exact same fucking thing the entire book. And he took up a good portion of the book as well. And it was just... Corbin's running around a yard again. He's running around a yard. Corbin tried to fight his bully and got punched over again. Oh no. Corbin feels shame. And it's like... Sometimes you get into a chapter with Corbin and it'll instantly... Oh, I feel shame. Corbin feels shame. I feel like I've let myself down. And... There's often whole chapters where Corbin would just walk around and talk to a guy at a market with a bird, And like these are the things that I was picking up. Like when I was reading the book, I'd stop what I was doing because sometimes if I'm listening to an audiobook, I'm doing other things.
Yeah.
I'd stop and I'm like, am I actually fucking listening to this? This guy's and I understand there's an amount of Deus Ex Machina in it, where it's like you want to create a world where you can live in and where people are doing normal things. So if someone needs to go and take a shit, they're going to take a shit, and that's in the story. But I just feel like there are certain things in the book that were tedious and put in there that slowed everything down, didn't move the story at all, and really detracted from the story. Really, really detracted from the story. And that's I don't want to say it's bad writing, but like I just feel like that's bad, like bit of bad storytelling. Like the story itself was good. Like the things that were interesting in the story were good. It just felt like it was bogged down by so much crap. Like the magic guys in the desert, they go on a whole quest. That could have been a whole fucking book right there, and it could have been described well, and like getting there could have been good. They use some kind of earth magic to locate the place. They don't explain that at all, and they don't even explain it or anything. They just say, "Oh fuck, I don't like them using the earth magic because it makes me feel weird and shit like that." And then when they got to the city, it's a fucking magical invisible city, and they don't explain anything or even give it a description. You're there for one conversation, or maybe two conversations, and an angel shows up and fucking changes the whole game. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? We've spent a whole portion of the book getting to this place. You have two conversations there. One conversation is with an angel who just appears out of fucking nowhere and spins the whole thing on its head. Like, the action in this book was absolutely great. Fucking, it took a great pace. The action was good, really, really well described. But I just felt like it was all disjointed and not cohesive at all. It's like, oh, this awesome thing's happening over here. They're fighting some giants, like Nathir's. Because the one of the POV from that point of the story is Nathir's Viridis, who is the Nathir's bodyguard kind of thing. Yeah. He's fucking fighting some giants and shit. Oh, but there's some forest stuff on the left. It's like, why have you fucking said that? Is that for context or something? Like, we don't even know what land we're even fucking in. He's not described anything in the whole fucking book, but now you're saying there's some fucking forest off to the left. Like, thanks, mate. Like, I just don't even get it. I don't get it. The whole thing was like not cohesive for me. And not only that, I understand why he's doing it as well. He jumps from story to story, and it's to gain more interest for different parts of things. But every time we jump back to Corbin, he's doing the same shit. Absolutely the same shit. The whole fucking story is doing the same shit. It's Nathir's gone to the magical city. Things seem to be progressing. Oh no, the king's been killed. Now Nathir's the king, but we also have to track down the guy who kind of fucked him over.
The other king.
Yeah, the other king. Jump back to fucking Corbin, still running around.
Right. And
then it's like, I just didn't care about Corbin at all. He seemed like a whiny, useless fuck. It was just terrible. It was just terrible.
Right.
I'm so sorry, but it was terrible. But there's good parts in it.
Okay.
But I think I just got really frustrated with the amount of chuffer in it. Like, when you write a story and you bog it down with absolutely, there wasn't no cohesion in it. It's like, if you are going to make something spectacular, or if you're going to put some kind of emphasis on something, are you going to describe it, or are you going to actually have some kind of emphasis on it, or are you just going to say, oh, this thing happened, boom. It's like he was trying to direct this book in a certain way, and I just wasn't getting it, and that frustrated me as well, because I was like we're going to painstaking detail about Corbin's training and everything, painstaking detail,
and with Gar,
and with Gar, and with fucking, I'm working all day in the forge. Oh, you know what? We even got a banana split. You know, because there's just little dumb things in it. There's little dumb things where, like, they go out and they fucking talk to a guy for a minute, and the guy says something, and he's, oh, you know what, I was a adventurer once, and I did this, and I did that, and then you learn a little bit about that guy's backstory, and then it's never fucking comes up again, ever.
Is that the guy with the bird, or?
Oh, some other guy, but the guy with the bird says stuff like that, too. And I just didn't understand why he was putting all this, like, extra stuff in it. I don't know. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
That's my little review of it. It just fucking did my head in.
Okay. So, yep, okay.
Yeah.
So, well, this is one of, if not the favourite series of mine.
Good. I'm glad. No, I'm glad you enjoyed it, because the thing is, I think it's good that we have different tastes, and I think it's because I really loved fucking American Gods. I loved it,
sure,
and you hated it, which is fine.
No, I didn't hate it, but
well,
I didn't appreciate.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's fine, and I think it's great, and I love that we have
Sure.
Yeah, I love that we have a friendship that we'll both look at the same thing, and we can have different opinions, and it's not going to interfere with anything.
Okay, so love the series. I would agree that this is maybe like the weakest book of the series. And I can definitely understand maybe the issues with pacing.
Yeah.
But overall, I think this is fantastic. I suppose I can also agree with like Corbin being like kind of the tropey kind of main character, like the chosen one kind of thing. Because it's fairly clear that like Nathea isn't actually
the bright star. Yeah.
And that it's hinted at that Corbin probably is.
But the angel guy is even wrong. Like you know what I mean? Like they put the angel guy and he's like, Nathea is the bright star. You need to follow him.
Well,
it's like, yeah, I get it.
It's not that he's wrong. He's got other motives. That guy, Calidus. I love the world.
The world was good.
It's somewhat similar, and like especially with the houses and that, like Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire. Bit of political stuff going on, but it's not like bogging it down either.
That was good, actually. I did find that good.
I quite enjoyed Corbin's story, and especially his rivalry with Rafe. I thought he was a really great kind of villain.
The bully guy, yeah.
And the back and forth between them, and like Kywin, who's Corbin's older sister, and she like
has to daggers and shit.
Yeah, and she's
that's cool.
Like part of her journey is like she's got to let Corbin defend himself. Like if she's stepping in a couple times, and then it's like, oh, Corbin's a wuss, his sister's looking after him.
Yeah.
Corbin's relationship with Storm, I thought that was really cool, especially the imagery when Corbin saves the Wolven mother, and she's like very pregnant, and then like later on they go on a hunt or whatever, and they kill the Wolven, and like Evnus tramples most of the cubs except for Storm, and Corbin saves her. Love that moment.
That was good.
I would probably say now Castell was my favourite character out of all of this in this book. The guy who's with Macquin, and they like join the Giant Hunters.
Yeah.
And he has a rivalry with his cousin Wrath.
Yeah.
Rath.
Yeah. And it's more Wrath's rivalry than it is Castell.
True.
It's like he's just indifferent to it. Like it's not really a thing for him.
Yeah, and he almost like Castell almost wanted to make peace, but yeah.
That was that was peppered through the book, that story, and that was a good and interesting part of the book as well.
Yeah.
Like, his uncle is just his boy, man. He's basically the guy's dad. He's like fucking would do whatever he wants, you know.
Yeah.
Go with him, you know. He's faced
Macklin, or
yeah. He's basically faced with either fucking death or sort of, what do you call it, exile. And he's like, let's do it. I'll do it any day with you. And I thought that was great.
There's a short story that takes place when Castell is a kid, and it shows how like his parents died, and there's a moment where Macklin like swears an oath to because they like escape the town or whatever together. I think he grabs Wrath as well.
Yeah.
And that's where he swears his oath to, and like cuts his hand to Castell. So he's like basically his kind of parental guardian for a while.
Yeah.
And then that kind of, I guess, develops into like
father-son
more of a and like kind of slash mate kind of thing. He's an older guy. Yeah, I really like that, and I was quite shocked when like Wrath just kills Castell, and like that was it. I was like, holy fuck! Like the bad guy kind of won that storyline.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. See, I enjoyed that too, and I don't know. I think because it was so peppered in the book, I probably didn't take it that well either, because it was like it's a character that I enjoyed seeing, but it was because it was peppered so little through the book. When he died, I was like, oh well, that just happened.
Right.
There was no impact for me as much, because it was like, I think it would have been good if he was more of a main character, or he had more to do with one of the main character's stories, and you got to like him a bit more, because it's like, when you kill off a character that early, you're like, oh well, he was only peppered through the book anyway.
Right.
And I guess that sets up something else later on.
Yep. Viridis, he's maybe my second favourite character and storyline.
He doesn't say very much either, eh?
Yep, but I like the
point of view.
His point of view, and especially like he's like best friends with Nathia, and he's somewhat, especially now, blind to kind of the bad stuff going on, because it's kind of hinted at that Nathia actually killed his dad, so he could become king. It wasn't like the other guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
like he wants this prophecy to be him so bad that he's like he's forcing.
Or he's like he's so convinced it's him. He's like, well, I've just got to do this bad thing so I have more control and I can make things good.
Yeah.
A standout scene is when Nathia is with his Viridis is with his warband trying to get revenge for the guy that they think killed Nathia's dad, and they're in that river, and they're like completely outnumbered, and they're in a river, and they've got people coming towards them, but because,
on both sides,
but because no one's used to the shield wall, they just push through, and they're like tramping through the river and just fucking cutting everyone down.
Oh, that's right, and because shield wall is like a newer concept, and it's from the Venthelin or whatever, eh? Is it?
No, so that they got the idea from this like swarm of ants that came through, like giant ants, but they're not that big.
That's right, yeah.
And I think they got the idea from that, and they started working on it, and they used it when they fought the giants
in the forest area.
And they had the giants had the drakes.
Yeah, and one of the fucking other kings doesn't use it, so he lost more men. They're like, look, you got to use the fucking shield wall technique because it's proven to work now.
But they don't like it because it's like less honourable, but it's like so much more effective.
Yeah.
But that was like one of the best things I've read in terms of like action and kind of imagery when they're in that river cutting everyone up.
And was good, yeah.
And then he has like a little one-on-one with the king once he defeated them. The king he thinks killed Nathia's dad.
Yeah.
And then the king's like, you're making a huge mistake. Like, you're fucking this up. Like, I didn't do it. And then, like, you're gonna be, not an honourable man, even though everyone thinks, like, I did it, but I didn't. And then he, like, cuts his head off. And it's, like, kind of in a way, like, sealing
his own
a bit of fate, yeah.
But the thing is, I think that he's literally so blind to Nathia at this point that like,
and he swore an oath to him as well when Nathia didn't have any bad intentions, like before all the bad stuff happened.
Well, that's the thing, eh? Like, he's gonna get driven down a path that he's gonna absolutely hate. He's got an oath on it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's good parts of the book.
I do understand a lot of what you're saying. And I would say the writing definitely improves, and especially the pace. Like book 1 is kind of on and off with like action, like intense moments, and then Corbin's side, which may less so. 2, 3, and 4 are like just a steaming fucking train.
I don't know. I don't know if I can commit to it, because the thing is, I literally got to a chapter where the first fucking paragraph of the chapter was Corbin went to da-da-da castle with Gar. Gar and Corbin came back from da-da-da castle, went to the market. It was uneventful. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? The first fucking paragraph of this literally told me that the characters walked around and did nothing. And that just really frustrated me.
Without spoiling anything in book 2, there's probably a touch less focus on Corbin. Like, he's still a main character, but one thing I was quite surprised by, and I knew about Macquin, but he basically becomes one of the primary characters for the rest of the series.
Does he hook on with Corbin and like teach Corbin different stuff? Or
no, very little interaction with Corbin. He has like his whole own storyline, like, because his goal after this, which shouldn't be a spoiler,
to kill
is
the guy.
Get revenge on I think it's Wrath.
Wrath.
I think it's his name. Yeah, and it's just like this. His intense want for vengeance is just insane.
That's cool. I just don't know whether they can commit to another book that could just have loads of just stuff in it that's not like doesn't move the story forward, or doesn't have any reason to be in a story, or doesn't have any reason to be in a book. It's like having a all the stuff that you have to read as a side mission for Fallout.
Right.
It's like having to read that, or having to collect the 5,000 feathers on Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah.
Before you can get to the next bit. It's like,
okay.
Why have I got this? And it's just not even anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, It's not necessarily Corbin. Like, Corbin the character was a little bit whiny and a little bit annoying, but his entire story could have been condensed down. Like, the whole book could have been shorter if you condensed down all the rubbish that was in it. And it would have been more interesting. Like you said, there are really good parts in this book, and there's parts where, like, I don't know, they put a saddle on a giant or something like that, or they put a saddle on this other thing, or they try and like ride the drags, or they try and get a drag to fucking get an egg or some crap, There's a whole lot of great concepts in there, and there's things that deserve to be in it, but you're talking about the main character of the story. You're talking about the guy who is the bright star, who is like the main thing. And his story is fucking the most boring thing, because you've added a whole lot of rubbish in it. And it's like there's a part in it which I did think was good, where Rafe, was it Rafe? His rival?
I think so. Because there's Rafe and Wrath.
Wrath, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
his childhood rival.
A few names that are similar. Anyway, Rafe dares him to do something for courage, right? And he has to go into this witch's house, and he does all this stuff. And the witch lady, who's a healer, ends up catching him. He ends up having to work for her. Fucking fantastic. That's absolutely a fantastic part of it. But then what happens? He has to work for her, right? Fantastic. He's going to learn a little bit about healing. He's going to learn a little bit about the dried stuff. We won't learn anything about it or about her. It's all thrown by the wayside until someone attacks them or some bullshit. And it's like every time there's an opportunity for him to be interesting or to get some kind of interest out of his story, it's just thrown by the wayside like a sack of fucking hammers. It's like there's that fucking guy who's training him.
Gar. With the limp.
Yeah,
he's a horse master.
Yeah. He's like, learn to do this blindfolded, or learn to do this, and then like, you learn to do that, and you can like lift stronger and everything else. And like, yes, I understand that, but the some of it was so tedious. It really made it unenjoyable. Like, why didn't you learn anything about the herbs in that fucking place? Why don't we learn anything about that girl? Yeah, well, why the fuck isn't it in the first story? And like, why the fuck? It's just missed opportunities all the time, and it's extra rubbish for the story. And I'm not trying to say what you should and what you shouldn't put in the story, because I wasn't the writer. But the thing is, there are pointless bits in it, like literally pointless, where the writer's telling you that they walked somewhere and then walked back and it was uneventful. Why does that need to be in the story? Or how does it help the story? How does it help the book? How does it do anything? It's not even interesting, but there's plenty of it. And like, do you even have a sense of what the world looks like? There's little description of the actual world. Like,
well, I mean, I do, but
I understand that, like, us as the reader, we have to like create that. But there was strange moments where it's like, oh, there's a forest here, and like, oh fuck, and like, oh, they've made a wall here. It's like, what does the wall look like? Or like the like, I got like an almost Viking vibe from the guys who are like the Vinfellen, I think their name is, and they go around to the different like little areas and raid and stuff. I almost got a Viking vibe from it, but like no description or nothing from it. And it's like, oh, there's a slave, and he was a slave when he overthrew the thing, and he became the king of the Vinfellen and stuff like that. That seemed very interesting, but we don't learn much about that guy either. He's probably in another book. Like, we'll just throw that away with a sack of hammers, you know? It just felt like there was good. It was good setup, but we didn't see any of it. Like, it just seemed like a lot of words. Like, you probably could have put some of that second book in the first book. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there were some missed opportunities, and I felt like that was a little bit of wasted time.
Okay.
For me.
For you, like, too much unnecessary stuff.
Yeah, way too much unnecessary stuff.
Okay.
But there was some good part. There was a lot of good parts in it. It's just that it was bogged down so much by unnecessary stuff that it made it unenjoyable. You know.
I would say the opposite is true for the rest. Like, one comment that I've heard is, like, especially the last two books, like, they could almost be two separate books each, because there's like so much that happens.
Yeah. Well,
like, compared to because the biggest comparison that's like quite similar in the world is like A Song of Ice and Fire, right? And a complaint of that is there's a lot of talk about food and all this other shit that's for like setting the scene, but it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah. The steam dripping off the wagon of the meat bag.
And there's stuff that happens, but like, especially I think it was book 3. It was like, this is like from beginning to end, like so much had changed. That's all good.
I don't know. I might pick it up. I just don't know if I'll ever get through it. It's just.
What about, don't commit to book 2, commit to the first quarter?
Oh, I don't know, man.
Like, the first quarter, like, book 2 is my favourite.
It depends on whether, like, this is how I see it going down. Like, it depends on whether it's described well and it moves along at a good pace, and the story moves along in a good pace. And the story, there's more of a story in it. Like, I felt like the first book was a smattering of story with lots of bullshit. And if I get into the second one, is it just going to be a couple of long fight scenes with like bits and pieces of story? Like, is the description going to be there that I want as well as the other thing? Because there was a lot of problems with this first book that I had. So, am I going to jump into the second book and be like, oh fuck, there's an awesome fight scene, but he's described nothing again, and now all of a sudden we're in a forest, and I didn't even know there was a forest there, and now fucking this thing's happening. Oh, Corbin's still running. There's less of Corbin, but he is still running around doing nothing.
I didn't have an issue with the description, but I would say the character arcs are done a lot better for the rest of the series.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because for the rest of the series after book 1, like I like Castell.
Yeah.
But book 2, 3, 4, Macron all the way, like his arc is just insane.
Well, that's good. Maybe it should have just been a book about him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, the other thing is, it wasn't from Castell's point of view. Those chapters were from Castell's point of view. Eh? Macron was the secondary.
Yeah. Yeah. So after this, like Macron has his own, like it's
his own.
Yeah, and it's from his point of view.
I mean, I just felt like the guy, I don't know, had just dreamed the stuff up and just kept writing, and then if something happened, it happened. You know, and I don't know, maybe that's a good thing.
I think he worked on and off on Malice for like 7 years or something.
And he's written a few books, this guy.
Yeah, so since Malice, he's like basically doing a book a year.
Oh, good on him. I think that he. I mean, I don't hate the guy, and I don't think that he's done anything wrong by making this book. Fucking good on him for writing a damn book, man. I think it's fantastic that he did one, and I think there's a lot of good points to the book. Yeah. I just can't understand why you just throw a whole lot of stuff in it. Like, I don't know. It really perplexed me. It made it unenjoyable. Good on him.
Yeah, writing definitely improves though going forward. And like, if you didn't want to continue this, he does have a new series out.
I don't know,
Shadow
man.
of the Gods.
Shadow of the Gods, eh?
It's pretty cool.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna give it a rest for John Gwynne, John or whatever his name. John Gwynne. That's it. But the thing is, like, I might pick him up later on. This happens. Sure. This does actually happen with me sometimes. Sometimes I'll read something, I fucking hate it.
Well, you said you didn't like The Eye of the World.
Yeah, I didn't like The Eye of the World to start with, and then I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So like, maybe I just need to give him a rest for a bit and then try to jump back on. And like you said, the second and third book go at a rocketing pace, so maybe I'm just not in the right headspace for it. I mean, absolutely no thing for the guy. I reckon everyone should check out this book, because there was a lot of good stuff in it. I mean, if I really hated it, I wouldn't have fucking finished it.
Right.
Like, there's been plenty of books that I've just said, fuck no, I'm not even finishing this. Right. Or I've fucking thrown it out or something, Yeah. So, go on it. I'm glad you enjoy it though, because you really enjoy it. You got all 4 books,
Yeah.
So, and what's the 4th one about? Is the 4th one in the thing, or is it new, sort of?
So, it's a quartet.
Oh, okay, good.
So, 4th book is just like the final quarter of the series. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Yeah. Do you think that they'll make a TV series?
I think they could, and it would be really easy to make, especially with the fan base of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
they would attach to this quite well.
That's another thing I'm thinking of. Like I had a problem with Game of Thrones as well. Like reading that, like that bogged things down for me as well. Like you said about like the description on like the food and everything else, and I really liked the Hedge Knight though, the one about the Seven Kingdoms. I loved it. I fucking ate that up, and I did the whole book in fucking something like a week or something. I just loved it. Loved the whole thing. Yeah. So like I said, it could just not be the right time. All right.
Fair enough. Yeah.
This is probably a long one as well.
No, I expected that. It's only 30 odd minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Good one.
Sweet.